Greetings, Art8 3D students. Mr. Royster here to talk to you about the steps for success on your next project, the cover of your art book. Let's take a look at what the project is. It's what I call a me logo. A me logo. You're going to design a logo, in short, you're going to design a logo that represents some of your interests and colors that you feel really kind of represent you. Okay? Similar to the mini project we just did, except we're going to add form to this. We're going to focus on form. So let's take a look at our GQ. How can an IB artist use form, shape, and color to create a three-dimensional logo? Form. Form is the element that we haven't used much in here so far in the last 2 years because we've been working on a 2D basis. We work to make things look 3D, but form. Form is that element that makes things actually three-dimensional. If you can imagine, if you were to take a balloon, hold the balloon up, it does have some form to it, but as you inflate that balloon, it becomes more three-dimensional. That is form. Form is defined as width and depth. Width and depth. When you give something width and depth that is measurable, you're giving it form, and that makes things appear actually three-dimensionally, or 3D. So in this particular class, we are working with form. That's what we'll do the entire semester. We're going to work with form. We're going to add form to everything we do. We're going to start out with a two-dimensional logo. We're going to decide where we're going to raise parts of that logo to make it appear three-dimensional, or actually be 3D. Okay? So, form is one of the key words in this. Also shape, one of your language objective words is shape. We're going to have to create some shapes, aren't we? We're going to create some shapes that represent not only your initials, but also other types of shapes that will represent things that you're interested in. And colors. We're going to use color to emphasize your logo, aren't we? We're going to use color and temperature contrast, warm versus cool, and we're going to apply color using torn pieces of magazine. Okay, so that in a nutshell is how we're going to build the assignment. Let's take a look at the investigation phase and also the planning phase. The essential question for the investigation phase: images, colors, and shapes can I use to design and create a logo that represents me? You're going to design a logo that represents you. It must include your initial. Your first and last initial must be included in your logo. There also must be some other imagery that represents you. Something about you, something that is true about you. As far as your logo design, you can be thinking, what colors can I use as well that are also representative of me? Okay, here's a good example. This is an example that I did of the actual project. Notice that it is 3D. We're going to be using cardboard, layered cardboard, to give our assignments form. But what you're looking at is you're looking at an R and a 2 because my first and last name are Roger Royster, so my initials are RR or R squared. And so I created this logo so that it looks as if you're looking at an R. You can see that, but you can also see the 2. So that is my initial logo. And then I added some imagery into it to kind of help to represent things that are important to me. Something that is true about me or important to me. And so I included a cross back in here because faith is an important issue for me. And so I included the cross in here. And then I chose my colors specifically to kind of tell some story as well. Okay? In the investigation phase, you've got to figure out your shapes. You've got to do some sketching. You've got to come up with some imagery. You've got to come up with some ideas. You know, what are some things that are really important to me? What are some letter styles that I might be able to design my logo in that is going to really tell the story? I can use both initials. Then you move on to the planning phase. The planning phase includes a number of things. First thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to figure out your color scheme in the planning phase. You've got your logo design figured out. This is the logo design that I'm going to use. You have to figure out your color scheme. What colors are going to help emphasize, and emphasize should be up here as well. I'll throw that up onto the GQ as well. We're going to use emphasis as well. What colors are you going to use to emphasize your design, to help your design visually pop? And then, what areas are actually going to physically pop? You want areas to be raised. So what areas in your design are going to be flat in the background what areas are you going to cut out of cardboard and glue in layers that are going to actually physically pop as you're creating as you're actually creating the project of your logo. Okay? So you're going to need to figure out your color scheme. You're going to need to figure out which parts you're going to add form to in order to be ready to start the creation phase. You're also going to need to collect some more cardboard. We're building on the cover of your cereal box. What you're going to need to do is need to bring in 1 or 2 more cardboard packages. Doesn't have to be a cereal box. It could be a pizza box. Any kind of cardboard packaging that you have around the house, bring that in. If you have a cardboard box at home, bring that in. A shoe box. Any kind of cardboard like that, bring it in, because you're going to be using that to create layers. Okay? That layering is created by gluing cardboard into place, taping and gluing cardboard into place when it comes to the creation phase. Yeah, there's one more thing. You're going to need color. Color, yeah. I just realized that I'm looking at the video and I'm thinking to myself, you got to have color. Well, where's that color come from? You're going to need to bring some magazines in. You're bringing a variety of magazines that have the colors in those magazines that you're going to use for your assignment, because that's how you're going to, in a sense, paint your project. You're going to tear little pieces of magazine and glue them in the creation phase. So you need to kind of go through the magazines that you have at home and look for pages of color, rip those pages of color out, and then bring them in. So, once again, real quick, how can an IB artist use form, shape, emphasis, let's write that in really quick, and color to create a 3-dimensional logo? What images, colors, and shapes can I use to design and create a logo that represents me? Investigation phase, you've got to do some thumbnail sketches. What's that logo look like? Planning phase, what colors are you going to use? What areas are going to be raised? You can start the creation phase once I have stamped off on the first 2 phases. Now, I want you to be ready to start the creation phase by Wednesday of this coming week. Awesome. If you've got questions, feel free to email me. Get a jump start on this. And then we'll start building as soon as we possibly can going on to this week. All right, awesome. See you soon.